Hi Sophie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So the reason we're doing this meeting online is just to get a better idea of what it means to be a trustee for Stagetext. So I'm going to ask some questions. Hopefully you won't feel too awkward. We know this has been recorded, so we'll try and be as relaxed as we can. Um, okay, so do you want to just tell me a bit about your role as co-chair of trustees at Stagetext?
Yeah, so I joined the board of Stagetext, I guess coming up 2 years ago now. And then about a year ago, stepped into the role as co-chair, and I share that responsibility with Sarah Bradley. We're quite a good double act, I think, because we've both got very different like professional experience. So
Yeah.
we kind of complement each other's skills. Um, Yeah, so that's me in my role of co-chair. Sarah and I share responsibility of being kind of the point of contact between the CEO and the board. Um, and we see ourselves as kind of team leaders, try and keep our board as a team and the communication flowing well.
It's okay. It's interesting that Stageheads has two co-chairs rather than just one, so it's nice to know that that's working well. Um, so what is it about being a trustee that you really enjoy?
So I'm deaf myself, and I've worked in the charity sector for quite a long time. And I really wanted to become a trustee for quite a while because I felt I had something to add to an organisation, and finding the right organisation and the right fit was really important to me. So I think all the things I enjoy about being a trustee at Stagetext are really quite personal. There's
Mm,
the bit about it being a cause that directly benefits me as a deafened lady. But also I know how many people live with hearing loss and who are deaf and hard of hearing, and I know that our impact is far greater than that we even imagine, to be honest.
yeah.
Um, so that kind of brings me my greatest joy. But actually, in addition to that, the staff team are so lovely and the rest of the board are so lovely that it feels like, as I mentioned earlier, it just feels like we're on this nice team with this
Mm.
united goal that we're working towards. Um, and even in meetings where we have like difficult subjects to discuss, I still really enjoy it. We come out because we work really well together as a team. Um, and there have been a couple of nice events and things that I really enjoyed as well, going along to see, shows where maybe it's a new customer to Stagetext and it's been a nice experience, and meeting the ambassadors, the volunteers that work with Stagetext. Yeah, there's a lot of joy to be had, I think.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that brings you as much joy as other people we know on the board as well. Um, I know that some people may be thinking it sounds like a lot of responsibility. So how do you manage being on the board as well as a full-time job and perhaps having a family and other
Yeah.
responsibilities as well? So it can seem like a lot.
Yeah, I think there are times where it is a lot,
Mm.
kind of where everything, but that's just life, isn't it? Sometimes that's the way it goes. It is a lot of responsibility, and I think when you are initially kind of interested in becoming a trustee and you read all the information that's available, say on the Charities Commission website, you're looking at it, you think, oh gosh, that is a lot of responsibility. But that's why the kind of team element is really important. And again, being co-chair with Sarah, I think we're quite good at making sure the responsibility is shared fairly and that no one feels like they're working on their own on something, even if they are the one that has the particular skill set.
Yeah.
I'm going to use accountancy as an example. The accountants on the board might feel more pressure when it comes to going through our audit and getting the account signed off, but actually we make sure it is very much a shared responsibility and that everybody understands that. Um, And yeah, life happens. There are times where you might have to miss a meeting on or might be less responsive on your emails maybe for a few days. But I think ultimately if our team's robust enough and happy enough, that works because we all support each other just like in any other team you'll find. So I wouldn't let that put you off. For context, I work full time, I have a small child, I have aging parents, and I still manage it all and enjoy it. But again, it's all comes down to communication. If I know I'm going to be really busy with work, I drop Stagetext an email and say, I won't be checking my emails till Friday this week, but on Friday I will set aside an hour and do it. And it just comes down to managing time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you want to give me an example of in your role as trustee? Can you give me like a 3 month period of what would be typical if there is
Yeah,
such a
so
typical kind of 3 month period?
it's an interesting one because I'd say the last 3 months of this year have probably been my busiest with Stagetext as a trustee, but that's just due to we had Captioning Awareness Week in November where there were lots of events, but they were fun events. It was really nice networking and talking to people, and there was cake at both. So,
Yes, always
so
important.
that's kind of not typical. That doesn't happen all year round. That's a once a year thing. But we've had a lot of planning around um, board recruitment as well. So we're keen to get some really good new trustees on board. And yeah, so there's been kind of some additional discussions and meetings around that. But outside of that, the kind of typical um, month in the life of a trustee is we have quarterly board meetings. And then around those, we also have two subcommittees. So we have a finance and general purposes committee, and we have EDI, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Committee to work on particular strands of work. The committees are optional, but they're open to all. We tend to find quite good attendance at those. Everything's online, so we don't have to travel. We do try and meet in person a couple of times a year, but because we're spread all over the country, it's often best to meet online.
Yeah.
We then there's one kind of annual away day where we do try and all get together, which is really nice. And then in between those, it's the odd emails here and there. The staff team know kind of which board members have the particular expertise. So if they're looking for an answer on one particular thing, they might just go to one board member. But I'd say it's a very capable team, staff team at Stagetext. So that's relatively light touch when compared to some other charities.
Interesting to know. What would you say are the main kind of benefits of being a trustee? And maybe just explain it in a way for someone who's quite new
Yeah.
or maybe thinking about being a trustee but isn't really sure. What do you think are the kind of benefits that they could get from it?
I think there's a lot of benefits. So
Mm.
one particular benefit for me that I've found, and I think this applies to everyone, is around professional development and better understanding of the charity sector. Um, so I've learned a lot by being a trustee at Stagetext. We've got some really skilled, experienced people on the board, and they're very generous at sharing their knowledge and expertise. And I've been able to learn a lot about other organisations and how they operate, and we might have a particular topic on HR, and I've learned loads about that, or
Mm.
finance, and I've learned a lot about that. Again, with Stagetext working in theatre and the arts, um, I've learned some really interesting things there. We are aiming that for anyone who would be interested in joining the board to kind of have a buddy system as well.
Yeah.
So we can hopefully kind of focus if there are any particular skills somebody would like to develop, we can hopefully focus on that bit, match them up with the best person.
Mm.
I'd also say another benefit is it just brings your head out of your own work. Kind of, I think
Yeah.
sometimes your day job can become a bit all consuming and perhaps any like personal challenges you might be having. And coming together with some kind of like-minded, passionate individuals who we're all sharing the common goal of helping Stagetext to thrive. Um, that's a nice benefit because it kind of takes you out of your normal day-to-day space.
Yeah.
Again, the learning doesn't just come from the board of trustees. I've learned a lot from the staff team as well. And also, when we do have events, for example, in Captioning Awareness Week, meeting so many different people from across the arts industries and kind of funders and supporters. Yeah, it's very enjoyable. And I'm not being biased. Like I do genuinely enjoy my role. That's why I'm here as a volunteer.
Absolutely. And I think also because of the Captioning Awareness Week events, we've had a lot more contact time with the ambassadors as well that are really important for Stagetext. And so, or even though you have your own experience of living with deafness, same as me, it's still good to keep contact and talk to lots of different people with their huge range of different experience of deafness, hearing loss, whether they're hard of hearing, etc. So I think that's really important. So why we do seem to be interested in recruiting those with lived experience of deafness. Can you sort of explain what does that actually mean? Do you have to be deaf or deafened or hard of hearing yourself, and why is that important?
So I'll answer the why is it important first, and then I'll explain more about kind of who we're looking for. We are a charity that primarily exist to provide access to deafened individuals. We know through our research that we're benefiting actually far more people. We'll save that for another day. We believe that we need to be deaf-led. So as many of our staff and trustees as possible either need to be deaf or deafened or living with a hearing loss, however they identify. I know there's lots of different terms that we like to use. But I don't think it just needs to stop there. I think it could be someone who has lived with a deafened or a deaf individual, maybe a partner, a relative, a very close relative, a child, someone who gets it, who really understands. So, that could look different for a lot of different people. Maybe they work in audiology, maybe they are an interpreter that has that understanding. So it could, that kind of the lived experience hat could look different for different people. So yes, we are particularly keen to hear from people with that lived experience. That doesn't mean you shouldn't apply if you're interested, because I believe in having as many different experiences around the table as possible to help us make the most informed decisions and, base our future strategy and business plans on. Let's face it, anyone that comes to the table is going to add value. So we just need to look at the particular skills that we're looking for at the moment. But again, I'd say if you look at that and think, oh, I don't quite fit, still do apply, like still have a conversation, and either myself or Sarah would love to chat that through with anyone that's interested.
Great. And then you were going to talk about the kind of different range of deafness, if you want to talk about that. I know at Stagetext we tend to use certain phrases, so we tend to use small d deaf,
big D deaf.
So we've got
again, I think traditionally captions, there was an assumption that they were mainly used by people that had been deafened, had kind of lost their hearing later in life. But actually we've learned that a lot of British Sign Language users do prefer captions at the theatre, and that is really important. Everybody has choice in the way that they access the arts. We also know some people would like a combination of captioning and lip reading, and they want to be sat in a seat kind of closer to the stage, or so there's lots of different experiences. Like, for example, I lost my hearing in my mid-20s. Before that, I'd learned to listen and I'd learned to speak and all of those things. But had I been born deaf, that would look very different, and my access needs would look very different. So we want all those voices around the table. We want people with the whole range of experience, whether they were born deaf, whether they became deaf at some point in their life or later in life. It's all really important.
It's good to know. I think that kind of concludes our online chat about, the trustee role.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, or?
I think just that if you're interested, I think sometimes that the role trustee, the term trustee, can sound a bit scary. And I think people have this vision of lots of older retired men sat around a table making big decisions. Yeah. But it's just not that. And actually, the best charities are being run by people with a whole range of backgrounds and experiences. So if you're kind of on the fence and not really sure, let's just have a chat. Hopefully this video showed you that we're just humans doing our best. And I'd be really interested to hear from anyone that is particularly interested in joining or supporting Stagetext work.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sophie. I will stop recording now, but for those that have listened, we will have links to all of the information online, including the application pack.